What if your pain wasn't a mistake, but a necessary ingredient for greatness? Most people crave only comfort, beautiful moments, sweet emotions, easy wins. But the Stoics? They saw life very differently. A healthy eye doesn't get to choose only soft, pale colors. If it rejects what's real, that's not clarity. That's disease. The same goes for your ears. They must hear all sounds. Your nose, all scents, pleasant or not. And your stomach? It takes in whatever it's given. Like a mill, grinding whatever grain falls in. Marcus Aurelius believed the mind should be no different. A strong mind must face everything. Not just what feels good. Not just what you wish to happen. You can't say, "My children must survive," or "People must admire me for what I do." Because that's like your tongue demanding only pastry, or your eyes refusing to see anything but beauty. This passage, from Book 10, paragraph 35 of Meditations, has been echoing in my mind for weeks. It connects to so many truths I've come across lately, in Taoism, Buddhism, and the philosophy of non-duality. But it all seems to come back to one simple Stoic principle, amor fati, love of fate. Nietzsche once said, "The formula for human greatness is amor fati." And I believe he was right. You can't crave only the joy without accepting the pain. You can't feel true bliss if you've never tasted sorrow. That's the cost of feeling deeply. The Buddhists understood this well. Life is suffering. But here's the thing. We don't always choose the pain we get, but we do choose how we relate to it. This is what amor fati means. It means accepting what is. Whether you believe life is divine design or just pure chance, this is the life that's been laid before you. To resist it, to complain, to resent the cards you've been dealt, is like yelling at falling dominoes. They've already dropped. So what do the Stoics teach us? Amare, to love what is, not blindly, not passively, but courageously. You've been handed this moment, this situation, this pain, this joy, and you have a choice. Will you resist it, or will you learn to love it? Because amor fati isn't just a phrase, it's a way of seeing life. That might just change everything. The Stoics didn't just talk about personal peace. They cared deeply about people, about justice, about doing what's right. So no, amor fati doesn't mean you blindly accept everything and let the world burn. It's not about saying, "I love this life just as it is, and I won't change a thing," because that would be ignoring injustice. That would be turning your back on virtue. Instead, the Stoics said, take what you've been given. Accept it, love it, but don't just sit there. Use it. Even pain, even hardship, can become your stepping stone. Not a wall, not something blocking your way, but something to step on, to rise. Life will throw everything at you. Sometimes, it feels like it's hurling bricks, rusty nails, pain, suffering, loss, more pain. You don't get to dodge it all. It just comes, year after year, wave after wave. So what do? You could curse it, complain, collapse under the weight of everything that's ever hurt you. Let those bricks pile up. Let them bury you. Or, you could pick them up, one by one, and start building. You could say, these aren't here to break me. They're here to teach me, to shape me, because that's what amor fati really is. Not passive surrender, but powerful transformation. Life gave you storms, so you could grow roots. Life gave you fire, so you could forge strength. You asked for wisdom, so life gave you mistakes. You wanted to be strong, so it gave you challenges. You don't become great by floating through comfort. You become great by standing firm in the storm. And every challenge you face is a piece of the structure you're building, your foundation, your fortress. But the question remains, will you let life bury you in bricks? Or will you build with every single one? At the end of the day, it's still your choice. To sit there, to complain, to curse the way life turned out. But that is your choice. This is what the Stoics called the dichotomy of control. There are things we don't control and things we do. We don't control the weather, or traffic, or other people's moods, but we do control how we respond, how we think, what we move toward, and what we walk away from. That's yours. It always has been. So when you say, "Amor fati," I love my fate, what you're really saying is, I choose to love what I've been given. I choose to make something of it. I choose to nurture it like something I care about. Because when you truly love something, you take care of it. You don't abandon it when it gets hard. You help it grow. You protect it. You fight for it. And that is how we should treat life. Not as something to escape, but as something to love and work with. Now here's something interesting. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, repeats a lot of the same lessons, over and over again, but he phrases them differently. It wasn't for us. It was for himself, to understand them better, to internalize them. And one of the lines he wrote really stuck with me. You cannot wish only for pale colors. In one version, it's translated as, you cannot wish to see only green. Imagine that for a second. You meet a genie. It offers to grant you one wish. And you say, I want to see only green. Only green. No other colors. The genie pauses, confused. Are you sure? It asks. That's your wish? But you nod. And the genie grants it. And for weeks after that, you wake up every day. And all you see is green. The trees, the sky, your reflection in the mirror. Just green. And at first, maybe it's peaceful. Maybe it feels simple. But then something starts to happen. At first, everything's green. Peaceful, simple, predictable. But the mind, it always seeks patterns. Always wants contrast. So now, you start noticing. This is a light green. The trees are forest green. The sky? A softer green. My milkshake? That's neon green. The cow's hooves? Olive green. Suddenly, you're making distinctions. You've created a whole world of different kinds of green. And maybe you're wondering, wait, where is this going? Well, this is life. You see, when we say, I only want to experience beauty. I only want the good moments. I only want joy. And the genie grants us that wish. Soon, we start comparing again. This is truly beautiful. This is less beautiful. This is weirdly beautiful. This is barely beautiful. And without even noticing, we're back where we started. Judging, labeling, ranking. We build a new scale and start chasing again, because that's what the mind does. And the more we try to avoid pain, the more we create suffering. We build these comfortable, curated lives. We buffer ourselves from the discomfort. We insulate, protect, overthink. But strangely, we still suffer. Because you can't outwit pain. You can't outrun it. You can't hide from it behind green-tinted glasses. Pain is part of life. And ironically, what makes suffering worse is believing you shouldn't have to suffer at all. I remember listening to a podcast by Dr. Anna Lemke. She was speaking about dopamine. Yes, but more than that, she was speaking from grief. She said, I can't take this pain. When will it end? I can't keep doing this. And then, A realization came. A voice, whether from someone else or from deep inside herself, whispered, "It won't end. It never ends." And somehow, those words didn't crush her. They freed her, because for the first time, she stopped fighting the pain. She accepted it, not because it was easy, not because it was pleasant, but because it was real. And that was the first glimpse of hope. Because once you stop resisting life, you start living it. Cyclone ket thuk mo, goi su teep noi. And maybe that's what Marcus Aurelius was pointing to. Not just how to endure life, but how to embrace it as it really is. Suffering will always be there. It's not optional. It's part of the human condition. But what makes it harder is when we try to escape it. We say things like, "Why me? Why is my life like this? What did I do to deserve this?" And those questions don't make the pain go away. They amplify it. So here's the truth. We have to accept that suffering is natural. It's not a flaw in life's design. It is the design. But the Buddhists, they have a powerful idea. They say, you can't avoid suffering, but you can choose to suffer better. It sounds strange, right? But think about this. If you spend your whole life building walls, insulating yourself, avoiding discomfort, protecting yourself from pain, then even the smallest thing becomes unbearable. It's not 28 degrees? It's 26? Suddenly, you're freezing, and the world feels unbearable. The tiniest inconvenience becomes a crisis. But that's not all. You don't just suffer from life's struggles. You start suffering from the absence of life. From not exploring. From not growing. From never leaving your comfort zone. And that kind of suffering is the worst. Because slowly, you shrink. You become a shadow. A shell. A muted version of who you could have been. And then, you suffer again. But this time, it's not physical pain. It's the ache of missed potential. That voice inside that says, you were meant for more. And you know what? It's right. You were meant for more. Not because you need to become someone great, but because that greatness was always inside you. You just forgot. Because someone told you you weren't enough. Because life hurt you, and you started hiding. But the point isn't to become some ideal version of yourself. The point is to remember, to reclaim, to uncover who you were before the world told you who you had to be. And here's the thing, choosing one kind of suffering can help you avoid another. When you step into discomfort, you start to grow. That's why the Stoics practiced it. They welcomed challenge, hard exercise, fasting, when it's safe, cold showers, cold baths, simple acts of resistance, against the ease that dulls us. Because when you choose your suffering, you take back your power. And that's when something begins to change. Challenges, discomfort, the little things that scare us, that stretch us, that push us outside of what feels safe. They hurt, but they're good pain. Because growth never comes wrapped in comfort. It shows up disguised as resistance. Every time you step outside your comfort zone, even just a little, you grow, you expand. For me, that pain showed up in small, everyday things. Speaking out loud, talking to strangers, reading in front of others, looking into a camera and letting my voice be heard. That may sound simple to some people, but for me, it was terrifying. I used to avoid speaking because I didn't like how I sounded. My voice wasn't clear. I stumbled over words. I didn't believe I had anything worth saying. So I stayed quiet. I avoided cameras, avoided people, avoided eye contact at the grocery store. I lived in retreat, not because I wanted peace, but because I was afraid. But eventually, I realized I had to leave the shell. Even if it hurt. Especially if it hurt. So I started doing the things that scared me. Speaking out loud. Recording videos. Meeting people. Sharing lessons. Helping where I could. And every time I did, I thought, that was hard. But it felt good. Not comfortable. Not easy. But right. It was the kind of pain that builds something. That adds weight to the soul. That makes you feel more alive. And that's the difference. You see, hiding in my room. Not speaking. Not creating. Not connecting. That's also painful. But it's not rewarding. It doesn't lead anywhere. It just drains you. You suffer either way. But only one path leads to growth. That's why I believe we must choose our suffering. Because when we choose it, it becomes meaningful. So, that was passage 1035 from the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius. It's a strange one, but a powerful one. And if you looked at my copy of the book, you'd see, it's worn out, filled with notes, scribbles, underlines. Because I keep coming back to it. And every time I do, I see something new, something deeper. And maybe, just maybe, you will too. I've been reading this book for a long time. Not every day, and not every page is underlined. But whenever something stirs something in me, I scribble, I highlight, I pause, and try to understand. You know that old saying? No man steps in the same river twice. Because the river changes, and so does the man. I think that's exactly what happens with meditations. You could read it 100 times, and each time, it whispers something new, not because the words changed, but because you did, and that's the beauty of it. It's not just Marcus, it's the lens you bring. Your life, your pain, your progress, and maybe that's true of many books. But especially this one. Now, I know some of you might have read my book too. And honestly, I can't tell if it has the same effect. Because I wrote it, and I've read it more than anyone else on this planet. Except maybe a few die-hard readers out there. Or some audiobook addicts who fall asleep to my voice, which is flattering and slightly awkward. But here's what I find fascinating. Most people who read these teachings don't even know they're studying Stoicism. They just feel something real, and they keep turning the pages. That's powerful. That's how it should be. So if you've read my book once, or more than once, or if you've listened to it in the background of your busy day, thank you, truly. And I hope this passage today, Book 10, Section 35, sparked something for you. A question, a thought, a quiet shift. If you're curious to go deeper, I recommend this simple practice. Books read multiple translations of the meditations. Seriously, each version uncovers a slightly different meaning. And when you compare them, you start to feel what Marcus was trying to say. You don't just read it, you live it. And that's what this journey is about. It's not about sounding wise. It's about becoming someone who lives wisely. Even in chaos. Especially in chaos. So, if today's message spoke to you, let it sit. Let it echo. And if you're ready to keep exploring, join me in the next video. There's more to uncover. More to remember. More of you, waiting to awaken. So, stay on the path, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and share it with someone who might need a little light today. Thanks for being here, on the Stoic journey. I'll see you in the next one.